Hey everyone and welcome to Old Sailor Tattoo Parlour. Ever wondered about the story behind the ink on your skin? Or maybe you're just curious about tattoos in general? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the incredible, millennia-spanning history of tattoos. It's a journey that's way older and more fascinating than you might think. Let's rewind the clock way back. The oldest known tattoos were found on Otzi, the Iceman, a mummy from over 5,300 years ago. His body had more than 60 tattoos, likely made from fireplace ash rubbed into small cuts. Scientists believe these weren't just for decoration. They might have been a form of ancient pain relief, almost like an early version of acupuncture. Jumping forward to ancient Egypt, tattoos were common, especially among women. Mummies of priestesses and dancers have been found with intricate patterns of dots and lines on their abdomens and thighs. These were thought to be symbols of protection, especially during pregnancy and childbirth. However, not all ancient cultures saw teddies so positively. In ancient Greece and Rome, tattooing was often used to mark enslaved people and criminals. It was a brand of ownership or punishment, a permanent reminder of one's low status. It wasn't something a respectable citizen would ever get. During the Middle Ages in Europe, tattooing largely disappeared, but it persisted among religious pilgrims. Many would get small crosses or other sacred symbols tattooed to commemorate their journey to holy sites like Jerusalem. It was a permanent souvenir of their faith and devotion. Then came the Age of Discovery, when European sailors, like Captain Cook's crew, traveled to the Pacific Islands. They were blown away by the rich tattooing traditions they saw in places like Polynesia. The word tattoo itself comes from the Tahitian word tato. Sailors started getting inked on their long voyages, bringing the art form back to Europe and sparking a new wave of interest. By the 19th and 20th centuries, tattoos became a staple in Western counterculture. They were popular with sailors, soldiers, and circus performers. The invention of the electric tattoo machine in 1891 made the process faster and more accessible, solidifying tattoo parlors as a fixture in port cities and working-class neighborhoods. And that brings us to today. The 21st century. Tattoos have exploded into the mainstream. They're no longer just for rebels or outsiders. They're a celebrated form of personal expression, art, and storytelling for people from all walks of life. From hyperrealistic portraits to minimalist designs, the artistry is truly incredible. As for the future, with advancements like smart tattoos that can monitor your health or animated ink, the next chapter in this ancient story is just beginning. If you enjoyed this trip through time, don't forget to give a like, comment, share, and follow Old Sailor Tattoo Parlour. See you next time. Hey everyone and welcome back to Old Sailor Tattoo Parlour. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating and complex history of tattoos in Japan. When you think of Japanese tattoos, you probably picture those stunning full-body designs of dragons, koi fish, and samurai, right? These art form known as irizumi is world famous. But its story is way more intricate than you might imagine. Believe it or not, the story of tattooing in Japan goes back thousands of years. We're talking about the Jomon period, over 10,000 years ago. Archaeologists have found clay figurines with markings that suggest tattoos were used for spiritual or status purposes. For centuries, tattoos were a part of life. The Ainu people in the north, for example, had a long tradition of facial tattoos for women, marking their passage into adulthood. So, when did things change? The big shift happened during the Edo period, starting in the 1600s. The government began using tattoos as a form of punishment. Criminals were marked with symbols on their faces or arms, making them outcasts for life. This is where the association between tattoos and crime first took root in Japan. But at the same time, a new kind of decorative tattooing was exploding in popularity among the working class, like firemen and laborers. Inspired by heroic talis from woodblock prints, they covered their bodies in elaborate designs as a symbol of bravery and masculinity. These were the origins of the irizumi we know today. Then, in the late 19th century, Japan opened up to the West, and the government, wanting to present a civilized image, banned tattoos altogether. This pushed the art form underground, strengthening its ties with the Yakuza, who adopted the full-body suits as a sign of loyalty and defiance. The ban was eventually lifted after World War II, but the stigma remained powerful. Today, Japan is at a crossroads. While tattoos are still banned in many public places like public baths and gyms, a new generation is embracing them as a form of self-expression and art. The world of Japanese tattooing is slowly opening up again, reclaiming its rich artistic heritage. What do you think about the future of tattoos in Japan? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like, share, comment, and follow the Old Sailor Tattoo Parlor. See you next time. Welcome back to Old Sailor Tattoo Parlor, history buffs and ink lovers. Today, we're diving into a topic that might just surprise you. We often think of tattoos as a modern trend, but what if I told you that some of the most influential figures in history were rocking some serious ink? Let's uncover the secret tattoos of historical personalities. First up, let's travel back to 1066. King Harold II of England, the last Anglo-Saxon king, famously died at the Battle of Hastings. How did they identify his body on the battlefield? Reportedly, by a tattoo over his heart that read Edith in England. Talk about a statement piece. Now, let's jump forward a few centuries. Did you know several US presidents were James K. Polk, the 11th president, had a Chinese character for Iga. Andrew Jackson, the 7th president, had a tomahawk tattooed on his inner thigh, and the famously rugged Theodore Roosevelt sported his family crest on his chest. Even across the pond, Winston Churchill, the iconic British Prime Minister, was rumored to have an anchor tattoo on his forearm. Royalty seems to have had a particular fondness for tattoos. King Edward VII of Britain got a Jerusalem cross tattooed during a visit to the Holy Land. His son, King George VI, followed suit with a dragon and a tiger on his arms from a trip to Japan. Speaking of Japan, even Tsar Nicholas II of Russia got a large, intricate dragon tattooed on his right arm during a state visit in 1891. And let us not forget King Frederick IX of Denmark, who was covered in navel and dragon tattoos, which he proudly showed off. It wasn't just the men, either. The famously beautiful Empress Sisi of Austria, Elizabeth of Bavaria, had a small anchor tattooed on her shoulder in 1888, a rebellious act for a woman of her status. Even Winston Churchill's mother, Lady Randolph Churchill, had a snake tattooed around her wrist, which she would cover with a bracelet at formal events. From authors like George Orwell with his small blue spots on his knuckles from his time in Burma, to inventors like Thomas Edison, who had a quincunx pattern on his forearm, it seems. Tattoos were a hidden part of many famous lives. It just goes to show that the desire to mark our bodies with meaningful symbols is a timeless human story. What do you think of these inked-up historical figures? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more surprising stories from the past. See you next time. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Old Sailor Tattoo Parlor. It's great to see you all again. Today, we're re-diving deep into the rich and fascinating history of a truly iconic art form, the Polynesian tattoo. This isn't just about ink, it's about identity, heritage, and a story thousands of years in the making. So, where did it all begin? The word tattoo actually comes from the Tahitian word tato, which means to mark. For ancient Polynesian people, tattooing was a sacred practice, a rite of passage that began in adolescence and continued throughout a person's life. Each mark, each symbol, was deeply personal and told a story. It could signify your social status, your family lineage, your skills as a warrior or navigator, and even your spiritual connection to the gods. These weren't created with the tattoo guns we know today. Traditional tools, called uhi or uno, were made from bone, turtle shell, or wood, crafted into a comb-like instrument with sharp needles. The artist would dip the comb in a special ink made from soot and then tap it into the skin with a mallet. It was a long, painful, and highly respected process, performed by master artists known as tufuga-tatatau, who held a very high status in their communities. The designs themselves are a beautiful visual language. You'll see geometric patterns, waves representing the ocean that connects the islands, shark teeth for protection, and turtles for longevity and wellness. Every single line has a purpose and a meaning. For example, the Marquesan tattoos are known for their full body coverage, creating a second skin of intricate symbols. While Samoan Peye, for men, and Malur for women are legendary for their complexity and cultural significance. Sadly, when European missionaries arrived, they suppressed this vital cultural practice. For a long time, the traditional art of tattoo was almost lost. But thankfully, in the late 20th century, a cultural renaissance swept across Polynesia. Artists and communities worked tirelessly to revive these ancient traditions, studying old patterns and relearning the ancestral techniques. Today, Polynesian tattooing is thriving, both in the Pacific Islands and around the world. It has a powerful symbol of cultural pride and a way for people to connect with their roots. It has a living art form that continues to tell the stories of a proud and resilient people. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey today. If you found this as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button. Don't forget to share and comment for more deep dives into art and history. See you in the next one. Welcome back to Old Sailor Tattoo Parlor. Today, we're diving deep into the mystical and ancient world of Sakyan tattoos. You've probably seen these intricate designs, famously worn by celebrities and travelers. But what's the real story behind them? Let's explore the rich history of these powerful spiritual markings. The story of Sakyant, or Yantra tattooing, begins thousands of years ago, with roots deeply embedded in the traditions of Southeast Asia, particularly in what we now know as Thailand and Cambodia. These aren't just your average tattoos. They are sacred geometric designs believed to hold magical powers, passed down from master to disciple through centuries. Originally, these tattoos were hand-etched onto the skin of warriors by Buddhist monks or spiritual masters. The ink itself was often a special blend of herbs, charcoal, and even snake venom, consecrated with prayers and chants. Why would warriors want these tattoos? It was believed that a properly administered sakyant could provide protection, strength, and good fortune. Each design has a specific meaning and purpose. Some were thought to make the wearer invisible to enemies, others to deflect blades, and some to bring immense luck in battle. The designs often incorporate animal imagery, like the powerful tiger for strength and authority, or deities, and geometric patterns, called yantras, each imbued with specific blessings and incantations. The process of getting a sakyant is a sacred ritual in itself. Traditionally, it's done using a long, sharpened bamboo or metal rod, ametod kaye tapping. The Ajahn recites prayers or katha during the entire process, infusing the tattoo with its spiritual energy. It's a deeply personal and spiritual exchange between the master and the recipient. After the tattoo is complete, a final blessing is given to activate its powers. It's a tradition that beautifully merges art, spirituality, and ancient belief systems. Today, Sakyant has gained global popularity, but it's crucial to approach it with respect for its cultural and spiritual significance. It's more than just body art. It's a living tradition and a sacred commitment. Understanding its history helps us appreciate the profound depth behind every line and symbol. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of Sakyant. If you found this interesting, don't forget to hit that like button, share, comment, and follow Old Sailor Tattoo Parlor. See you in the next episode. Welcome back to Old Sailor Tattoo Parlor. Today, in this 6th episode about the history of tattoos, we're diving deep into a world shrouded in mystery, danger, and a complex code of honor. We're exploring the history of Russian criminal tattooers. Forget everything you think you know about ink. In the Russian underworld, tattoos aren't just decoration. They are a language, a passport, and a permanent record of a life lived outside the law. So, let's set the scene. Imagine the harsh, unforgiving environment of the Soviet gulags. In these places, a man's life story was etched, not in books, but onto his skin. These weren't your average tattoos. They were a brutally honest resume. Every symbol, every placement, had a specific, unchangeable meaning. A cathedral on the chest might count the number of convictions by its spires. A star on the knees meant I will never kneel before authority. These weren't choices made lightly. A false tattoo, one that you didn't earn, could get you killed. This intricate system was born from a powerful group known as the Vorvizakon, which translates to thieves in law, were the elite of the criminal world, with a strict code of conduct. Their tattoos were a mark of their status, a visual declaration of their allegiance to a life of crime and their rejection of the state. For instance, an epaulette tattoo on the shoulder signified a high rank within the hierarchy, while a spider in a web could mean the wearer was a drug addict, or if the spider was moving upwards, that they were a dedicated thief. From daggers and skulls to religious icons, given a dark twist, this visual language was incredibly rich and specific. A Madonna and Child, for example, might seem religious, but in this context, it could mean prison is my home, or that the wearer has been a criminal from a young age. This tradition tells a powerful story of identity and rebellion in a system designed to crush the individual. It's a stark reminder that sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones written on the human body. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the shadows. If you found this as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into hidden histories.